Hello and welcome to Getting Paid on eBay. I look forward to speaking to you today about the new eBay payments. My name is James Foster and I'm a Senior Manager of eBay Payment Solutions.
Hi everyone, my name is Ray Heraldo. I'm also part of the seller migration team for eBay Payments. I've been helping large sellers as well as third-party partners, 3PPs, onboard onto eBay Payments. Happy to join you today.
If you have any questions, please use the chat window in the right-hand section of Bevy. And we look forward to, we'll get to those questions as quickly as possible. So today, I'm going to start by giving a little overview of the payments journey, and then we'll talk about how money flows on the platform, how the money flows from the buyer through to the seller, and some of those aspects of it and how you see that money flow. And then we'll talk about reports that are available and how you use reports for reconciliation. And then Ray will talk about payments APIs. And lastly, we'll do a few questions and answers. We'll take a few questions and answers. So in 2018, eBay announced that it was going to begin managing payments on our platform. And we rolled out these payments to a small number of sellers in the US about the middle of that year. In 2019 and 2020, we enhanced the payments capabilities, continued to expand the US sellers, and also added Germany, the UK, Australia, and Canada. In 2021, we yet again continued to expand the capabilities of the platform and have brought on largely all sellers in the US and continue to bring on sellers around the world, including Greater China, France, Italy, Spain, the rest of the world. And by the end of this year, all sellers will be migrated over to the new platform. In 2022 and beyond, we'll be releasing new features and new services. And we'll continue to enhance those features and services so that we can greater engage our customers, both our buyers and our sellers. So now let's talk a little bit about how the money flows on the platform, how you see the money, how it flows. As you can see on the Seller Hub over here on the right-hand side of the screen, you can see the payments that come from the buyer, the purchases made, and that money then becomes into a processing state. On that screenshot, you can see that $17.55 is currently in the processing state for this seller. That money stays in the processing state for 2 days, 2 business days. At the end of those 2 business days, we make those funds available to be paid out. And in this screenshot, you can see that $10.03 have been made available. Right below that, you can also see where we've talked about when the next payout is scheduled and when the last payout occurred and how much was paid out there. Right, so that's really money how that money flows across the platform. You can also see that there was some money on hold in this given account. And those holds generally come from refunds. When a buyer asks for a refund, we put that money on hold. Right? So after 2 days, when the payout cycle occurred, this money the available funds will be paid out during that payout cycle. We'll see some more of this here in a bit. Now let's move to the next slide. So at the bottom, before we do, at the bottom of this slide, you can see where we show recent transactions. So now let's dive into one of those transactions, right? If you go into Seller Hub and you click on the transactions and you dive into a given transaction, you're going to get to this transaction details page, right? And this is where you can see all the information about a given transaction. So this transaction started on June 30. It's going to be available for payout on July 1st. You can see a little bit more information below that about the transaction in that box. Then the transaction details. You can see the order number here. That order number is associated with the order itself, the payments transaction, any refund or anything that would occur to this given order. It's also provided to the buyer when we notify the buyer that they've successfully made a purchase. That order number is there. So that number is used to track the life cycle of the journey of that order, including the payments transactions. Over to the right, you can see the transaction summary, where this order was $20, and the summary of the fees. And then below that, you can see the net proceeds for that given order. Down below, you can see fee details, right? So we break down those fees that were summarized above, and you can see that for this given transaction, there was a final value fee charged, and there was a final value fixed fee. The fixed fee pertains to each order. For each order, we add 30 cents to that order as the fixed fee. Now let's talk about payouts. So after that money has flowed across the platform in those 2 days, right, and you've seen it in the processing state, you've seen the order come in, you go look at your payments transaction, you see that payment in the processing state, you see that 2 days later it's made available. All of those funds that are available on that day will be paid out to your bank account as that payout occurs. We now have the ability, and we now pull fees. As you've seen earlier, we pull those fees from the sales transaction. Right? We also pull those fees from for other eBay fees from that available funds. Right? You'll see this in a second. So fees like ad fees or store subscription fees or fees that are not related to the sales transaction, but yet fees that you pay eBay, those will be taken from the available funds as well, right? And if you look below here in this payout report, for this given payout ID, you will see the very first transaction is a shipping label. So this seller purchased a shipping label, and that money was taken from that available balance, from that money that was going to be paid out. All right, so now that we're removing all of the fees, both fees that are associated with the given sale and fees that are taken out in other respects, the invoice goes away, right? Those fees were typically in the past put on an invoice, and then the seller paid those once a month. But with all the fees now being taken out of the money flow, the invoice is no longer needed and is no longer used on the eBay platform. Right? Those monthly invoices are gone. Right? So now let's talk about reports and reconciliation. Right? If you go onto the Seller Hub and you click on the reports section and the payments section of the Seller Hub, and you click on the reports link on the left-hand nav, these reports will come up. The availability of these reports will come up. For the reports tab itself, we have two different types of reports. We have a transaction report and we have a payout report. Talk about those a little bit more in a second. We have a statement. Right? A statement is a record and a statement of all the activity that has occurred in your account during a given month. Right? So it's a summary of all of that information that's provided. An invoice, I said before, we no longer have invoices. So why do we have an invoice tab here? Well, we have what we call a tax invoice. And that basically is tax information that we're giving to you for your tax purposes, right? So back to the reports tab. The two different reports that are on those are a payout report and a transaction report. The payout report is just a summary of the payouts that have occurred over a given period of time, whichever time you select. So you tell us, I want to look at all the payout report, or all the payouts that happened in the last 30 days, or from this week to this week, or the last 3 days, or whatever you decide. You generate that report, and we will show you a line for each payout that occurred to your bank, what day that happened, right? The payout ID itself, and some other information for each of those payouts. The transaction report, that's a more important report, or a highly important report, let's put it that way. And that's really the report that you'll use for reconciliation. So let's look at a transaction report. So this is a transaction report, and you pull a transaction report, you decide what day you want it to start, which day you want it to end. There's some other filters where you can decide which types of information you want, the types of transactions, some other things. But this is a full unfiltered report for the given time shown, and you can see in the left-hand side you have the date itself, you have the type of transaction in the next column, the order number that we talked about earlier for those things that have order numbers associated with it. All right. The payout ID, payout date, some other information there, and then if you go a little bit further to the right, you will see fee information. So if you look to the bottom of the page where the last few rows, so they're all orders, you can see the fees associated with those orders. Right. So it shows the item subtotal, how much was paid for shipping, eBay collected sales tax. It shows the final value per order fee. It shows the final value fee itself. Right, any international fees. So that's a column that's going to show you those typical fees that are associated with orders and other things, and in those columns. The last fee shows a reference ID for things like shipping labels, if you want to look up that shipping label. Reference numbers for ads when you're doing when you're purchasing ads. So this is the reconciliation report. It should provide all the information you need to reconcile your books. Anytime money is moved or money is held, it will show up on this report.
Thanks, James, again for that wonderful review of the Seller Hub and payments, eBay payments. Now I want to switch over and talk about the APIs. So similar to what James has presented in the payments tab, we have payment APIs that can provide the same type of information in detail. We have the finance API and also the fulfillment API. Starting with the finance API, it is a RESTful API, and essentially it is for machine-to-machine communications. So rather than logging into the Seller Hub, a seller, a developer can use our APIs and programmatically pull this information. Now with the finance API, it's very similar to what the reports, the transaction and payment report or payout report can provide. So all those details would be in a JSON format response that can be ingested onto your systems or your databases. Now, along with that, the finance API, you have the ability, as in the Seller Hub, to do some filtering. So if you want to look at a specific date range, along with transaction type, the transaction status, those all can be taken into consideration and pull and filter certain types of details in the response. Now, along with that, some sellers, some third-party providers have taken the APIs and created their own customer support tool, where they can say search by refunds, maybe by the buyer name, ID, or by date, and pull certain types of details that they're looking specifically for and provide this UI or tool to their support team. Now, in addition to the finance API, sellers, developers can also use the fulfillment API. With the fulfillment API, you are looking at more of the order itself, the order details. So today, sellers can use the fulfillment API, get order details such as shipping information, buyer information, the tax breakdown. All these details can be provided through the fulfillment API. In addition to that pulling of order details, the fulfillment API, if you are on eBay payments, the fulfillment API can also provide functionality, additional functionality that was created specifically for eBay payments to issue refunds, for one, And issuing refunds, a seller can issue these refunds in partial refunds as well as full refunds to the order. And lastly, the Fulfillment API provides functionality to manage payment disputes. With this payment dispute functionality, you can pull details about where buyers have issued a dispute for a certain transaction. You can look at the status of the payment dispute, look at the specific orders, the line items that were in question for that dispute, and the status. Also, the Payment Dispute API, a seller does not need to go into the Seller Hub. They can just use the Payment Dispute API to take certain actions. So such as contesting a dispute, accepting a dispute, and even uploading documentation to fight or provide more evidence against a payment dispute. So we enhanced the Fulfillment API. And again, if you pair that up, sellers, 3PPs have used these together, Finance and Fulfillment API, to get more of a holistic view of orders, of payments, and they're able to create their own types of reports and outputs, basically. So that's in a nutshell what is available for eBay Payment APIs. For more information, you can always go to our developer portal, developer.ebay.com, for more details.
We have a little bit of time left, so let's take a few minutes to answer some of the frequently asked questions that we hear. One of them we get is, how can I change payment methods for eBay shipping labels? So the way that you change methods for shipping labels is, as you're purchasing the label, as you go to the order, you click on shipping label, you get to the shipping label page. Towards the bottom of that page will be how you pay. And it'll have you the default way you pay. And you can click on that. It will open up a little choices window that then will allow you to switch the way you pay. And today you have the ability to pay with the funds that are available from the sales that are occurring on the platform, right? The available funds. Or you can also use PayPal. So those are the two methods, and more methods will become available.
Okay, another frequently asked question from the eBay community is, will I get a 1099K, and how do I find it? So first off, in order to get a 1099K, there are a couple of requirements as a seller. One, you receive more than $20,000 in gross payments, and two, you had more than 200 payment transactions. So if you reach these thresholds, eBay will provide you the 1099K form by January 31st of each year. Keep in mind that 1099K will provide you gross amounts, number of payment transactions, your name, address, tax ID. So all this information is reported to the IRS.
Another question that we get regularly is that I've migrated to managed payments, but I haven't received a payout. When will my payouts start? So by migrating to managed payments, and for us to be able to pay you, we are required actually, to collect information from you so that we can verify that you're within full compliance of federal regulations. And this is true not only in the United States, but basically in all of the other countries around the world, right? And we commonly refer to this in the payments industry as KYC, Know Your Customer requirements. And so we will ask you for the information that the federal government is requiring from us, and then we will go through a compliance verification to make sure that the information that you provided to us is compliant with the information that we were supposed to receive, right? We'll also at the same time get your bank information, right? And because we're going to pay out to your bank, so we need that information to be able to pay out to your bank, and we will verify your bank account, whether we do that automatically or whether we do that with micro deposits. We will verify that bank account before we make that first payout. So those are the two things that will typically delay a payout at the beginning, and you have choices for those payouts of daily or weekly.
Next question that's frequently asked from our sellers is, why can't I get my funds the same day like I did with PayPal? We aim to pay as quickly as possible. However, we are dependent upon the credit card brands such as Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and for payout processing. So depending on their time cycles, we would essentially follow their cycles and pay you out as quickly as possible.
Another question is, if I have questions, how do I contact the eBay payments team? So each of our customer service people, our customer service team members, are trained on eBay payments, but we also have specialized eBay payments team members as well. So please contact our customer service, and then and they will be able to help you. Thanks everybody for being a part of and listening to us discuss eBay payments. We've worked hard over the past few years to put this payments platform together and to provide features that are relevant and necessary, and in order to simplify and standardize your payments on the eBay Marketplace's platform. So thank you very much.
And before we go, just want to remind those sellers that have yet to onboard eBay payments, please, you can find on the Seller Hub on the Payments tab a Start Registration button that will get you through the boarding process, and we can get you onto eBay payments. Thanks all, and we hope you enjoy the rest of eBay Open 2021.
Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the Open.